And welcome again. So we'll be going along these channels, and as we see things we pointed out to you, but let me just give you a little rundown on the area. This is called channel or drain number 9, and together with 8 other channels in the central part of Trinidad, they now drain the interior of the island. So you have fresh water running through these channels.
Okay.
This one is a direct link to the Gulf of Faria, which is about 7 kilometers down. We wouldn't be getting that far. We're going into the sanctuary where we see our national bird, scarlet ibis, coming into roost on these mangrove islands. Added attraction was added to the swamp about 5 years ago, and these are flamingos, the tall pink ones. So here what nature had to correct people because they used to call the scarlet ibis flamingos long ago. Now they have to call them scarlet ibis because they are actual flamingos in the swamp. So we hope to see the flamingos because they all depend on the tide, high or low. But other than the flamingos and the ibis, the Caroni swamp is rich in biodiversity. We have over 180 different species of birds in here. The common ones you see as going along with the blue herons, the white ones will be the egret, any other bird I see, I'll point them out for you. The main vegetation in here would be mangroves. We have 3 species of mangroves, red, white and black. I'll point them out as we see them. They are tropical coastal plants, and they grow very well in these kind of conditions because it's not all salt and it's not all fresh. It's a brackish water condition where the salinity fluctuates the seasonal factors. So when there's a lot of fresh water in here, the salt will decrease. When there's none of that, it increases. So the animals and mammals that you will see today have adapted to this life form, and you will only see them in a similar condition existing. Way before, in 1921, parts of the swamp was actually used for rice cultivation. To make all this possible, they had to put a north to south embankment a mile down to block the salt water from ever intruding in these areas. Alright? In 57, the embankment was in so much disarray and they didn't repair it. All the salt started intruded in these freshwater areas. They never tied back the banks, and this is a result of what happens. The mangroves completely took over the fresh marsh vegetation. So while the swamp lost all the freshwater vertebrates and the freshwater vegetation, it opened up bigger for the other species that enjoy it, like the scarlet ibis and all the other species, mangrove species. Alright? Caroni swamp itself is approximately 40 square miles of wetlands. Due to land depression, we are south of the northern range. The northern range is on our right, and they contribute a lot of nutrition in these estuaries. How it comes in here is when the streams and rivers on the hillside erode, that substance that moves along with the water would be rich in animal matter, plant matter, detritus, and nutrients. It goes all the way down and it deposits at the Gulf of Faria. Then that substance will resuspend with the high tide or flood tide, come into these estuaries, deposit on the mud flats and on the tree roots, and then you have the crabs coming out to feed on that deposit, and then the birds go around feeding on the crabs. So you see the food chain there. species and offers food for different species of birds and wildlife. This swamp also acts as a big sponge, and when there's excessive amount of water during flooding time, 1 acre of wetland could absorb at least 300,000 gallons of water. So they will absorb, purify, and release it back into the system. The wetlands are very important in the entire ecosystem. All right. Another thing that people don't know: mangrove wetlands store a lot of carbon dioxide. So they are reservoirs for holding carbon, and this would entail give out oxygen, fresh oxygen. So if you want to put a dent on global warming or climate change, don't destroy the mangroves, and that's a strong message for today. Keep the mangrove ecosystems clean and healthy, and you will have a healthy world. All right, mangroves store more carbon dioxide than any terrestrial forest in the world. So the key to global warming is to replant all the destroyed mangrove areas.
Miss, yeah. This is my first time visiting the bird sanctuary or the Caroni Swamp, and it's rather refreshing and relaxing.
Young ones, which means they have a good nesting system. So that is the key to the survival of the skydives. Once they're nesting in the country, they never used to nest here because they used to hunt them for the feathers and for flesh as well. But since they became our national bird in 1962, protection went to them, and beyond, because then the area became a Ramsar site in 2004. And then you would know of the Nanan family history when my grandfather petitioned the government to save these birds since 1948, when he used to educate people on conservation and allow them to sign his petition. And with his petition, this area became a national park in 1948. And we'll talk more about that later on. And that led to the birds now being an environmentally sensitive species. So and this is what some of our suggestions was: higher fines for the penalty, and once you enforce the law and you catch people, they would actually deter them from coming in here to hunting the birds, because the fine from 1,000 went to 100,000, and they actually caught people and they made an example of them. I'm sure you all probably heard of that. Right? So since then, everybody's afraid to come in the swamp now. And that is all because of what we suggested: higher fines, and we have to have stringent patrols in place and be more stern with people and set the example to let them know that this is our national bird and you're not supposed to hunt it. It's against the law. And that's what I'm also honorary game warden, and I try my best to enforce the law of the land as well. I'm more or less educating people. The main thing is education. And once you educate them, I'll tell you something what we do. And it's a technique that my father had, and it worked well for him, and I adapted that same technique. That we employ people in the communities of the current swamp area, the environment. And we choose people from the community that we know hunted the scarlet tiger. So it's a project I did. I started in 2015 when my father passed away. And I started hiring people and educating them and put them with the education to talk about it and treat them good, because we treat our workers very well. Alright? And in hand, they have to make sure that they committed all in all to this job that they do. Right?
What's the estimated population of the birds?
The fines went from 1,000 to 100,000 plus 2 years in jail.
Oh, good, nice.
They both have to pay 500,000 and 10 years in jail. Nice.
Very nice.
So
Exactly. Some numbers still do it, huh?
which is good.
We'll still take the chance.
Some numbers take a chance.
The porters, right?
Look at me. The flamingos. The flamingos.
So when we started that workshop, some of our policies went into that, and we highly suggested that the fines rise from 1,000 to 100,000. And this happened, and they must have stringent laws and patrols in place to catch the wrongdoers, and they did. And when that example was set, people were afraid to come in here and hunt up because of high the fine. All right, let me just touch a little on environmental threats to the swamp.